Now, I told you question number 5 was going to get trickier, and indeed it has. Because question number 5 has not remedied step 1 for us already, unlike the other 4 questions. So we need to spend some extra time on question number 5. Because remember, the first step, if we look at the rules in the notes, say that we've got to solve one of the equations for either x or y. Notice none of these two on the board say x equals something or y equals something, so that means we have work to do. Now, you have a choice, and it's entirely up to you. You pick which equation you want to make say x equals or y equals. You can use the top one and make it say x equals, use the top one and make it say y equals. You can use the bottom one and make it say x equals. You can make the bottom one and you make it say y equals. It does not matter. It's entirely up to you. Could it be more work than others depending on what you pick? Yes, absolutely it could. All right, but it does not matter which one you pick. I'm looking at that top equation, 5x minus y equals 8, and one thing I do see is that it's just y. That's good. It doesn't say y equals, but it's just y. So that's the equation I'm going to manipulate to make this happen. So let's talk about manipulating an equation there. Again, you're doing the exact same process as solving an equation, you're just never combining anything. So anytime you want to move something to the opposite side of the equal sign, you're going to have to do the opposite. The only thing I want on the left is y, because I want it to eventually say y equals something. So everything else has got to go to the opposite side. Now 8 is already over there, 5x is not. So that's the part I'm going to have to apply the concept of the opposite on. So that's where I'm going to start here. So if I've got 5x minus y equals 8, say subtract 5x from both sides. So I've got negative y equals 8 minus 5x. Now that's not bad, but the problem is it says negative y. I don't want negative y, I want positive y. So what you want to do now to make it say positive y is you're going to run across the whole equation and change all the signs. Positives become negative, negatives become positives, addition becomes subtraction, subtraction becomes addition. So when I do that, that's going to make this say y equals negative 8 plus 5x. And finally, with a little bit of work, I've accomplished what all the other questions had done for me in helping me solve step 1. I now know that y is the same thing as negative 8 plus 5x. So since I know y is the same thing as negative 8 plus 5x, now I'm going to change y into negative 8 plus 5x and solve. Now you can't do that in the equation you already have here. All right? If you try and plug it back into the top one, you're going to end up with an always true statement like 0 equals 0 or 1 equals 1. That's not what you're going for here. You have to plug it into the other equation to make that work. Since we manipulated the top equation, you can't plug it back into the top equation. It's got to go into this bottom equation. So I've got 10x plus 2 times now my negative 8 plus 5x, which we just figured out is y, equals 4. Well, let's simplify. I'm going to carry this 2 through here, 2 through to the negative 8, and 2 through to the 5x. 2 through to the negative 8 is negative 16. 2 through to the 5x, that's going to give me 10x's. And all this other stuff, it's still there. All right, so solve the equation now. Now it's looking a lot like the other questions we've done. Variables on the left, numbers on the right. So we see the one troublemaker here is this negative 16. So I'm going to move him, and I'm going to add 16 to both sides. So I've got 10x and 10x, that's going together to make 20x. 4 and 16 is going together to make 20. So if I have 20x's equals 20, that means x has to equal 1, because 20 times 1 is 20. So now we figured out that x is 1, and I'm halfway home. Again, I'm going to repeat what I did earlier now. Change x into a 1, plug 1 in for x, and solve one of the equations. Again, you pick here. I'm going to pick this bottom one. So I'm going to take 10x plus 2y equals 4 and change x into a 1 and solve. Well, that's the same thing as 10 plus 2y equals 4, or Or if I go through the process of solving the equation, sending the numbers to the right side, I end up with 2y equals -6. That means y has to equal -3. So my solution to the system of equations, 1, -3. Obviously, no matter which problem we did, no matter how much work they had already done for us, obviously still a good deal of work to show on every question. Your homework tonight would end up looking no different, with plenty of work to show and plenty of equations to solve.